Okay, so you know how I am online a lot, doing a lot of research, looking for articles.
You have so much online, Tom.
It's a lot of online happening.
Your online fervor is
Strong.
flavorful.
It is flavorful. I'd put it
I don't
as
know
far
what I'm
as
talking about.
how much flavor, above Flavor of Love, but below Rock of Love.
Okay. So it's not quite Flavor Flav, but it's definitely like, flavor sticks. So,
Yeah,
okay.
flavor sticks with a little touch of Bret Michaels.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Okay, so
I understand
So I'm online and I'm doing research and I come across.
Because you don't have a job.
This
You
is-
are a full-time
I'm a-
comic book guy.
That's right. That's what I
Yeah,
do. I'm
that's
a
why
full-time
you're
comic
online
guy.
all the time.
I am, and I'm looking up articles to do podcasts on, and I found something that I think is going to be really it's going to bring a lot of value to our comic book
I
community.
hope so.
I found a list of the top 5 superhero-themed rides, but here's the thing. One of those is not in our country, so I'm going to throw that one out because
Cool.
we're talking about the top superhero rides in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
And you have been on all of them.
Top 4 list, baby. And I have been on every single one of them, including one that I went on last week.
Ooh.
As you may have heard from one of the previous podcasts, I just got back from Disney with my kids, and it was awesome. They revamped Disney quite a bit.
Ooh.
And, oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, it's different now.
It is different, and I remember going to Disney years ago, and I mean, they've always had like a little bit of Star Wars presence because Lucas had helped with them, but now that Disney and Star Wars are all together and Leia is officially a Disney princess, there's way more of a Star Wars presence. I mean, they had some super cool, like, Sugar Skull Darth Vader pins, and I mean, just really cool stuff like that. And they added a bunch of other new flavorful things. I was kind of afraid when I was going there that I was going mostly for my kids, but as a 39-year-old comic book collector, that was just fun. There were so many great things. But top 4 list. So we did have a list, and I read through the list with Tom already. And yeah, I have actually been on all of these rides. So we're going to go from 4 to 1, and I'm going to talk about these rides. And we have also chosen a comic book.
Yeah, we're going to throw some comic books towards
to
tie into it. And we're going to give you some info on the rides. And to do one better, we're not going to follow this list because Russ has been on these, and the list count is different than what you provided.
Right, in the way that I
told
have chosen it.
you to rank them, and the ranking that you gave was drastically different than what this website gave.
Good.
Kicking off the list with the first ride, Doctor Doom Tower of Terror.
Now, Doctor Doom's Tower of Terror is at Universal in Orlando, and I went to school in Orlando, so I had a resident pass at Universal, and I went to Universal every single weekend. We had drink passes, we had free parking. It was an awesome place to go and just hang out and ride as many rides as possible. And Doctor Doom's Tower of Terror was definitely one of the ones that I liked. The whole concept of the ride is you go on this ride, and it is a tower that shoots you 150, 145 feet.
185 feet.
185 feet straight up. And then as you get near the top, Dr. Doom's menacing voice basically says, "I'm going to suck your fear and take your power, blah." And then he drops you at 40 miles an hour, barreling towards the ground before they grab you and then shoot you back upwards. And he bounces you a few times, and the screams fuel his...
Yeah, he's collecting the fear.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, this has to be a Doctor Doom themed comic that would go with this ride.
Right.
There's one that we've chatted about within the last year. There's really only been one Doctor Doom comic that's like come up in conversation casually. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
One of my favorites, actually. This is such a great one, and I think we were talking about it because of the potential tie-ins to the Netflix series.
That's why. This is a while back, because this is back when Luke Cage premiered that this conversation happened.
Because this has always been one of my favorite Luke Cage comics.
Luke Cage number 9. Yeah. Technically, it's a 2-parter, but really number 9 because it is where Doctor Doom appears. So in issue 8, Doctor Doom pays a middleman to hire Luke Cage to take care of some robots who are like rampaging in the boroughs of New York. And Luke Cage doesn't get his money. And there's this buildup in this issue of Luke Cage, like he's hunting down Doctor Doom. Like this is the first villain crossover into the Marvel Universe that Luke Cage is ever going to do. And he gets pinned up against Doctor Doom in this issue. And this is like, oh my gosh, like something bad's going to happen. This is going to be an all-out brawl. This is going to be a match of the century. He takes Richard Reeves' jet and flies it cross-continent to go and fight Doctor Doom. And when this whole like build up comes to a climax, we get one of the best panels in Bronze Age history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, one of the best panels in Bronze Age history, and it's just Doctor Doom sitting there, and it's like, I saw you fly in and Reed Richards' jet, and I totally knew it was you. And what does Luke Cage respond with?
Where's my money, honey?
So apparently Luke Cage had to travel across the country to shake down Doctor Doom for $200.
Yes.
And even with current inflation rates, that's still about $1,000.
Yeah. Doctor Doom's response is, hold up, you traveled how far to get $200? Like he didn't even remember that. He's like, wait, what? Like, that's why we're doing this? Like, this whole buildup, you think it's like potentially going to be like Dark Knight Returns status. Like, that didn't happen. And, you know, that's later. But it's like this feeling of, oh my, they're going to brawl. This is going to be this huge fight. And then he's just like, hey, bitch, give me my money. So
I like to believe that the Tower of Terror is extracting our fear so we can get some money for Luke Cage.
Let's move on to the number 3 ride.
The number 3 ride I actually chose. There is the Incredible Hulk coaster, which is also at Universal Orlando, and it's a hanging ride where you have the harness that goes over you and your legs are free falling and it goes upside down and it spins, and it's just kind of a cool concept of a ride. Oh, I really, really enjoyed it. But again, as I get older, I like these spinning rides less. I don't want to throw up.
You don't want to go 67 miles an hour and 115 feet into the air, according to Wikipedia.
It's over the water. It's over everything. I mean, it is definitely one of those rides that if you're going and you are a coaster person, go check out the Hulk.
What comic book would you pick to go along with this ride?
Well, we've been talking about Steranko a lot this last week, and one of my all-time favorite covers is the King Size Special #1, and it's just Hulk being crushed, and it's the Hulk with the Inhumans, and he hangs out with Black Bolt, and he gets in a fight with Lockjaw. I mean, there's some cool backstory, but something I actually found out recently was there was an interview with Jim Steranko that he wasn't the one that drew the face on that comic book.
Yeah, if you look at it, it doesn't look right.
It really doesn't. Like if you look at the Hulk, and the Hulk is kind of big, and he's got big muscly and
sweaty
sweat,
and gross looking.
Apparently Marvel came to Mr. Steranko and said, your face is too terrifying, because there was just beads of sweat and veins, and he's lifting
he's lifting a fucking road
this
or something.
Thing that he's lifting, and they're like, yeah, sorry, we have to tone it down. So you've got this amazing sinewy body lifting and this kind of like milquetoast face,
kind of like what they did with Kirby with Superman. A little bit. They're like, yeah, everything's good except for the face. We're gonna have someone else just like redo that.
Just gonna fix the rest of that. That's
all right.
The thing.
I think that's a great pick. Let's go to number 2, because number 2 is the Spider-Man ride.
Number 2, the Spider-Man ride, isn't necessarily as much of a roller coaster as it is like an interactive experience. It's one of those carts that goes around. You have polarized lenses, so it's a 3D, and it's really, really cool because you're kind of going on this cart thing. There's a section where Spider-Man jumps on your car, and your car kind of rocks, and you know, you've got the Green Goblin, he's throwing flaming pumpkins at you. Oh yeah, there's water, and it's really cool because it's one of those like 4D experiences, and it's fully immersive, and that's the thing that I really, really like about that.
What comic comes to mind then with this type of...
Like I said, there's so many great ones that you could pick with the Green Goblin. You've got all of these great, John Romita Sr. covers and the Flaming Pumpkins. But the one that I really like...
It's like this $4 book.
I always love this book. Amazing Spider-Man 267. If you haven't read it, you will like it. So its byline is Whence Cometh the Commuter. And... basically, the long short of the story is Spider-Man has broken up with Black Cat and is kind of trying to escape the city. And he leaves the city and he goes to the suburbs. And he runs into a kid and he has to borrow the kid's big wheel, and then a dog's snapping at him in a backyard, so he like gets the dog's mouth shut with the spidey web, and then he's running through a neighbor's yard, and the neighbor tries to put him under citizen's arrest, and then he ends up like pinching Spider-Man's butt. I mean, it's such a
very strange story.
It's a really cool story, and it's just the antithesis, because normally you got Spider-Man who's like running around New York, and I'm your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and this is me going around the 5 boroughs and trying to take care of this, and it's kind of like, hey, we just went to, you know, New Jersey white picket fences, and we're running around jumping through backyards and all of that stuff, or whatever. It's
different kind of pace.
Very weird.
A good pick, because this is a different kind of ride. And then rounding out number 1, this was probably no surprise, because there's a lot of money invested in this ride.
There was a lot of money invested in this ride, and I was so pleasantly surprised. So we just got back from Disneyland a couple days ago, and everyone had been telling me, because I went and did the original Tower of Terror, and I liked the Tower of Terror, but they had told me that they had reskinned Tower of Terror, the Twilight Zone elevator drop.
Like the classic one.
The classic one that had been there for a while, and they said they reskinned it as Guardians of the Galaxy Operation Breakout. And the line was ridiculous, so we ended up getting a fast pass, but most of the days we were there, it was like a 90 to 120 minute wait. I mean, you're looking 2 hours to be able to do this ride. It was done so well. You're hanging out in the collector's place, Benicio del Toro, and, you know, you've got all of these artifacts, and there's a Loki suit, and there's a fantastic painting of the collector and the grandmaster playing a game, and it's straight up Benicio del Toro with Jeff Goldblum, and they're like in this painting. It's super, super cool. And you go into the collector's office, and he starts telling you about this thing, and all of a sudden Rocket Raccoon breaks in and explains to you how we're gonna break out of this maximum security prison, blah, gotta go heal my friends, gotta go take care of this. And it is just so well done. Not to spoil anything too much, but I was so pleasantly surprised that they got all of the actors from the movie to be in it. And, you know, it was like Star-Lord and Drax and Gamora and Groot and all of the above. And even Benicio del Toro when he's taking off his glasses. I mean, it is so 100% exactly what you would need it to be. And it was just, the experience was fantastic. The ride was fantastic. It was fun. It was great. As a comic book fan, I recommend it highly. It's in California Adventure in the Disneyland sister park. They just opened Pixar Pier, so I know it's super busy over there, but if you get an opportunity, the Guardians of the Galaxy Operation Breakout is absolutely an amazing ride. It was worth doing.
Sounds like Rocket Raccoon made a really big appearance in this ride.
And we could pick a lot of the other more recent Guardians. There's all new Guardians of the Galaxy. There's the Rocket and Groot crossover, but one of my favorite, and I know one of your favorite, is the Rocket Raccoon miniseries. It was a 4-part miniseries, and Bill Mantlo wrote it. And Bill Mantlo, absolutely, you know, creator of Rocky Raccoon before it turned into Rocket Raccoon. And he also worked on ROM and Micronauts and Swords of Swashbucklers. I mean, Bill Mantlo wrote pretty much.
We need to do a podcast on Bill Mantlo, and then we need to do like 5 more on Bill Mantlo, and then we need to round it out with maybe another 2.
So much. I mean, it's just absolutely.
Yeah.
So just such an amazing writer.
Yeah. And artist Mike Mignola.
Right, and Mike Mignola did the cover and all of the pencils inside.
Very different.
And if you get an opportunity to actually flip through this 4-part Rocket Raccoon miniseries, you'll notice that this looks nothing like the Hellboy Mignola we expect, and it's very cool to kind of see early Mignola before he kind of decided to work more with absence of space, and when he really had, because he's a fantastic artist in any realm, but with the, you know, BPRD, Hellboy, Witchfinder, Jenny Finn, all of the other stuff that he's been working on dealing with the absence of lines.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to see him work on another art style.
It's a great run. Color works great as well.
Yeah.
I want to know if any of our audience have been on any of these rides, if they like going on rides. I personally do not like going on rides. I'm not a ride person. I've seen too many bad YouTube videos about how you can get injured on rides.
This is why I don't watch YouTube.
So I want to know what our audience thinks about rides, and specifically these rides, if they have been on any of them. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video. And as always,
remember to geek responsibly.
Enough.
said, when I'm not rematerializing like my favorite doctor, I'm liking and subscribing Comic Tom 101.